In the 1980s, as the world remained trapped in the tensions of the Cold War, a classified scientific operation allegedly began deep within the remote wilderness of Nevada. It was a human cloning initiative, not to cure disease, not to advance medicine, but to create a new kind of human, a human capable of surviving in space and one day colonizing other worlds. Then, almost overnight, the project disappeared. Officially, no such program was ever funded, approved, or staffed. Unofficially, leaked photographs, missing personnel files, and disturbing reports suggest that something extraordinary and possibly terrifying was taking place behind closed doors. By the late 1980s, everything connected to the project vanished. The facility, the scientists, the records, and even the cloned individuals themselves seemed to disappear without a trace. Tonight, we investigate the chilling story behind a laboratory that was seemingly erased from history. To understand the origins of this mystery, we must return to the Cold War, when the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a race for global dominance. Nuclear strategists warned political leaders that if a full-scale nuclear war ever erupted, humanity might not only face extinction, but the resulting nuclear winter could make Earth uninhabitable for centuries. This led to a disturbing question inside intelligence circles. If humanity destroyed its own planet, where would it go next? Mars? The moon? Deep space? Soon, another question followed. If humanity were forced to leave Earth, who would be capable of surviving such an environment? The average human body is poorly suited for life beyond Earth. We are vulnerable to radiation, dependent on specific oxygen levels, affected by low gravity, and susceptible to severe bone loss. To some scientists and military planners, the solution seemed simple. Humans would need to be redesigned. Declassified financial audits reveal a strange discrepancy that first appeared in 1968. Millions of dollars were allocated to a program described only as a non-biological contingency workforce initiative. There was no public explanation, no research output, and virtually no oversight. The funding trail reportedly led to scientists specializing in genetic engineering, embryonic development, radiation resistance, and psychological conditioning. Be it the project needed a leader, someone willing to cross ethical boundaries. That person was allegedly Dr. Elias Werner, a molecular biologist who had been expelled from the German scientific community in 1962 following accusations of illegal human embryo experimentation. According to leaked blueprints, Project Eclipse operated beneath an abandoned Cold War facility officially listed as a weather monitoring station. Above ground, it appeared ordinary. Underground, however, it was something entirely different. The facility reportedly contained cryogenic embryo vaults, biohazard observation chambers, neural conditioning pods, artificial womb systems, psychological reinforcement suites, and even a zero-gravity adaptation wing. Former workers described it as a factory for creating people who were never meant to be born normal. Security was extreme. Access required key cards, biometric scans, and armed escorts. Yet the strangest rule was that no employee was allowed to see the entire facility. Every worker knew only their assigned section. Only Dr. Werner supposedly had access to the complete layout. According to leaked documents, the first phase of Project Eclipse began in 1972. Researchers allegedly used advanced cloning techniques decades before such methods became publicly known. Human embryos were developed inside artificial wombs, and technicians were forbidden from naming or emotionally interacting with them. One former technician, identified only as Subject Omega-14, later claimed they weren't treated like children, they were treated like assets. By 1977, the project had produced its first successful generation. These were not ordinary children, but rapidly maturing individuals. Through accelerated growth hormones and experimental biological treatments, they reached physical maturity within 5 years. These clones became known as Generation Alpha. They were highly intelligent, emotionally distant, and unusually quiet. But cloning was only the beginning. Scientists soon began modifying their genetic structure. Their melanin levels were increased to improve radiation resistance. Bone density was enhanced to withstand low-gravity environments. Oxygen efficiency was improved, and emotional responses to trauma were significantly reduced. Reports even suggest that reproductive capabilities were intentionally limited. These engineered humans were not designed for normal lives. They were created to be obedient, durable, psychologically compliant, and capable of surviving harsh extraterrestrial environments. Some documents referred to them by a chilling label: long-term deployment biological units. Not people, property. But if Project Eclipse was progressing successfully, why did it suddenly disappear? According to leaked evidence, everything changed with Generation Delta. Unlike earlier clones, Delta subjects reportedly developed something unexpected: self-awareness. They demonstrated independent reasoning, emotional memory, and a growing sense of identity. Instead of simply following instructions, they began asking questions. Who am I? Why was I created? Why can't we leave? An internal memo allegedly warned, Delta units are displaying signs of emerging consciousness. They are increasingly unpredictable, resistant to conditioning, and philosophically active. For the scientists who created them, this was a nightmare. The clones had been designed to complete a mission, not question their existence. In 1984, an emergency lockdown was reportedly imposed. No public alarm was ever issued, but insiders described a growing sense of panic throughout the facility. 2 Delta subjects allegedly escaped containment. According to reports, they moved through the complex with remarkable intelligence, avoiding cameras, guards, and security checkpoints. One surviving security officer later claimed, "They weren't afraid of us. They were watching us as if we were the experiment." What happened next remains unknown. Within 6 months, the entire project was abandoned. In the spring of 1986, Project Eclipse vanished, not shut down, erased. Blueprints disappeared, files were deleted, supply chains ended, satellite imagery was altered, personnel records vanished, scientists were reassigned, disappeared, or died in unexplained circumstances. When investigators later examined the site, underground sensors reportedly confirmed that the structure still existed beneath the surface. Yet every known entrance had been sealed or destroyed. And that leads to the greatest mystery of all. None of the cloned individuals were ever found. They were not listed as deceased, they were not transferred, they were not archived, they simply vanished. In 2013, a series of strange photographs began circulating on private online forums. The images showed pale, hairless human-like figures suspended in fluid-filled chambers, bodies connected to artificial life support systems, and groups of nearly identical men staring directly into the camera with emotionless expressions. Digital forensic experts remain divided. Some believe the images are elaborate hoaxes. Others argue that certain anatomical details would have been extremely difficult to fake. 3 alleged former workers later provided secret testimonies. Though their stories differed in details, they all agreed on one point: the project existed. According to them, the clones became more advanced than expected, and authorities eventually lost control. One report contained a chilling statement: "We didn't end the project ended us." The clones were never meant to live on Earth. There was no shutdown. They left. Today, 3 major theories attempt to explain what happened to Project Eclipse. The first theory is the purge. According to this view, the government terminated the project, eliminated everyone involved, and successfully suppressed all evidence. The second theory is integration. This theory suggests the clones were secretly relocated to advanced aerospace programs, classified facilities, or long-term space missions. If true, they may still be alive somewhere beyond Earth. The third theory is the Exodus. This is by far the most controversial theory. It claims the clones eventually took control of the facility and escaped using technology that has never been publicly disclosed. If that theory is true, then somewhere out there may exist a different branch of humanity, engineered, enhanced, and independent. Watching, waiting. Project Eclipse may have been erased from history, but perhaps the truth is not that the program failed. Perhaps the truth is that it succeeded, and if the clones survived, then somewhere beyond Earth there may be humans who were never born, only created for another world, created to replace us, or perhaps one day to return.